Hi,
Hi bro, what's up?
what's up?
Hey bro, really nice to have you here with us today.
It's all good, man.
So yeah,
I'm glad to be here also.
you're from Mumbai. You're in Mumbai.
Yeah. Where are you in Bombay?
I'm in Mahim. What about you?
I live in Mira Road, so it's like I think like an hour or so away from
Yeah,
Mahim. But right now I'm at this friend's place. It's like a little bit outside of Bombay.
yeah.
It's this
Okay.
place
And
called
what's
Mopada.
okay? Acha. So what's been going on? और बताओ क्या चल रहा है?
कुछ नहीं यार
How's
आज ईपी रिलीज हुई मेरी एक बस उसी का काम चल रहा
हाँ,
था अभी
slightly
तो
better days. Like अभी
या
मैंने I guess I heard it like 2-3 times अभी तक. It's very
क्या
different from like all your previous albums. Like there's only one album and all the two EPs. It's very different. What was the thought process behind this one?
आई थिंक ये वाला आई थिंक थोड़ा ऑटोमेटिकली ऑर्गेनिकली बना है मेरे से मतलब like slightly better days is like a project that I didn't I think it's the first project that I didn't sit down with like a concept and like an entire storyline and like an entire theme that I want to follow. I didn't have any of that in my mind. I just made these songs, and after that, I was like, okay, these songs go well together. And I was like, I love giving out projects. I don't like giving out singles because it's just a better experience to listen to when you're listening to a project. And I think it's like a true test of an artist when they put out a project and it holds. So I was just like, okay, these songs go well together, and it was just I think it really depends on the space that I'm in my life. If if I'm in a certain space that's gonna sound like slightly better days, I'm gonna make a slightly better days. If I'm in a space that sounds like Salim, it's gonna be Salim. If it sounds like if my life sounds like Bubblecars, it's gonna be Bubblecars. It's just there's no faking it, or there's no hiding from what's happening in life. So I think life just like sounded like slightly better days, like like how you can hear the music is how my life kind of sounds right
Currently
now.
feeling.
Yeah, if that makes sense. I mean, like it's just like
Me,
it's just
me,
not
that
just
makes
about the
sense.
feeling, not just about the feeling, but there are like thoughts. For me, thoughts and moods and a mind state, all these things have sounds in my head, and this is how I think my mind state sounds right now. I'm not like saying that days are all better and life is all happy or whatever it is, but it's just like it just sounds like that. It's just like a little more
slightly?
yeah,
Huh,
exactly,
that
slightly.
makes a lot of sense because for the when I heard Bubble Cars for the first time, right? So I was
Yeah,
like, this sounds very depressing.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
पहला intro सुनते ही like where you uh, that that speech you give in that the monologue you
yeah,
give
yeah,
उसको सुनते ही मुझे लगा now this is going to be something very different than what I've heard before anything.
yeah,
So
yeah,
like
yeah.
you were talking about you realize your emotions through voices in your head. So since when have you been into emceeing and since when have you been into rapping? Because after you realized it, I'm pretty sure you must have turned towards rapping.
Yeah, I think like rapping and like writing and stuff like that. I think I've
Right.
been doing it since I was like I think since I was like maybe I was like 10 or 11. I think when I first wrote my first verse, I was maybe like 11, but I never took it up till I was like 21, 20 or 21. I think it's just been
So
Bubblecast is like my first Bubblecast is like my first
bubble
yeah, it's
your
like my
first
first offering. Yeah, it's like my first, not just album. I didn't have anything on streaming before Bubblecast. There was no real original music that I made before Bubblecast. It's the first thing that I made. I mean, here and there, like amongst friends and all of that, we might have like made some songs here and there, and I have recorded like a lot of remixes before that for like studio practice, and just like sending it out on like YouTube and stuff like that. I used to do that, but original music where I sat seriously, recorded, made a song, made music was Bubblecard. So I think like I would say that that's where my my career started, I guess. But I think like I've been writing, rapping since I was like
So
11. But here and there, like sometimes not writing, sometimes not writing, sometimes. But for the last 2 to 3 years, I think I've taken it like seriously to a point where I want to make like a career out of this. I only decided, I think when I dropped Bubblecars is when I decided that I really want to do this like for the rest of my life.
so
So I
so
read that you shifted from Bangalore to Mumbai to pursue rap. So
No,
when,
no,
at
no, no,
what
no,
age?
no. That didn't happen. I was two when I was like I was born in Bangalore, and
Oh,
like my family moved here when I was two, and I've been living here since then. I was in Bangalore for a year, but there was no moving or anything for that. I
you
think
were
that's
born. Okay, got
yeah. I was born there,
oh,
but I like my family. I'm South Indian. I was born there, and that's where my family is from. But I've been here since I was two, so I didn't move here or anything like that. I think that must have been like misread or something.
oh.
So, so it's been right now you're 23, right? So it's been
I'm
two
24,
years.
yeah.
Oh, you're
Sorry,
24.
24.
Yeah, I'm
Okay, so it's
24.
been like
Yeah, yeah,
almost 10, 13 years you've been writing. What
yeah,
exactly
yeah,
inspired you to write? Did you some artist or to make music? At 21, like how
yeah,
did
yeah.
you at all of a sudden at 21? How did you make this decision? Was it an artist who inspired you? What really inspired you?
To be honest, like when I was like in school, तभी मतलब ये इंटरनेशनल आर्टिस्ट बहुत पता चल गए थे तभी हमें कि मतलब ये VH1 के थ्रू वी फाउंड आउट अबाउट अ लॉट ऑफ इंटरनेशनल आर्टिस्ट जैसे जेजी हो गया एमिनेम वगैरह आई फाउंड आउट अबाउट देम इन स्कूल व्हेन आई हैड लाइक अ केबल टीवी आता था तभी तो वी हैड VH1 on there and then that's when I discovered all these artists. Then I found out about on Facebook. We were on Facebook a lot. The our entire like our generation was on Facebook a lot. So हम लोग
Ah,
Facebook पे ढूंढते ढूंढते I found
definitely.
this yeah, so I found this crew called Mumbai's Finest, and Divine was part of that crew. I don't know if you guys know
Oh,
about it, but there was this crew called Mumbai's Finest from Bombay. It had artists. It had an artist called Ace, who was the founder of that crew. There was Divine, and there was this guy called AP. He doesn't rap anymore. So that's where I found out that okay, hey, matlab, there are like people from Bombay doing this. I didn't even
Yeah.
know that I didn't even know that we could record a song. I thought it's just an American thing to do. I don't know what the fuck it was. I had no idea about music, anything about it. But then I found out about these guys, and I was like, okay, that's crazy. Matlab, like I would also like want to do it in like some form, but I never like when I was in school and stuff. I just wanted to be like an engineer when I was in school, but it was never like I want to be like an artist or something like that. This wanting to be an artist came when I was like I think I really was like I'm not able to like wrap my head around or get my head on like on anything apart from music. I mean I was just like मेरा किसी लाइक जिधर जब म्यूजिक में मन लग रहा है वो कहीं भी नहीं लग रहा है बिकॉज आई मतलब that वो कीड़ा था मतलब there was a worm inside of my head कि like I could do music but I never like stood on it. I never like took that step where I stood on it. I was always like I could just like do this here and there and maybe like as a hobby or something like that, but it's just like it was just so it kind of like overpowered all my other thoughts. The thought of like doing music, it kind of like overpowered where it was like no, this is all you're gonna do and this is there's nothing
I
else
think I
you're gonna.
really relate to that. Not like just like in the music sense, but like throughout when I was growing up, my parents always like wanted me to study, 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 and
Yeah,
be something. So I pursued computer science, and now I'm in college. But now my interests have completely changed, and I think that I also want to do something which is art related. Not maybe
yeah,
not
yeah,
music, but I also want to try making music someday because like I've
yeah,
fallen in love with Desi Hip-Hop. Like I haven't been listening to it for the longest time, but I discovered it in 2019, and ever since that I've just been listening and listening and discovering new projects every year. And the more I listen to it, the more I feel like, oh, that is art. Now this is something that I like has meaning in life. Like
yeah. I get it. I
So
get it.
you were saying that you got introduced to the Indian hip hop scene also very, very early, like when Divine was starting, and
Yeah, yeah,
almost
yeah.
all India got introduced to Indian hip hop after Gully Boy, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
you've been acquainted with Indian hip hop since then. So now, what's the difference you see now? There's a major difference, obviously, but
Yeah.
what do you feel now? Like, is it easier for artists now or then? Because then the competition wasn't there; the ways had to be like found out.
Yeah.
But now, and the ways have become easy. So, what's
Yeah.
your
I think like the state of hip hop right now, I don't want like I'll just give you like a, I mean, there's positives, negatives to like everything in life, right? Whatever we look
Of
at and
course,
whatever we see, and everything has like a nuance to it. In a way, where it's a great place to be in, because now we are like being accepted a lot more. We are being accepted as like real musicians, where it's like, okay, I'm not just talking about like companies and these media outlets and all of that. I'm just talking about like regular people, where regular people know that there's a thing that you can be called an Indian rapper, you can be a thing called an Indian musician, you can be a thing called this. So there is a greater acceptance
from
amongst people
society,
that I see. Yeah, from people that I see that are just, I mean, I'm not talking about like older people. I'm talking about people that are as old as us. These people also didn't have the acceptance back then. I mean, it's not like an age thing. We just never saw anything happen like that. So no one really like had an acceptance for like rappers and independent musicians and just musicians like that. So I think there is a huge acceptance now. But for to be honest, there is also a thing where I think that we are like if you sit in conversations with rappers now, if you have a conversation with like most of these rappers, if you sit and talk to them, I find it really depressing now. I don't want to sound like some purist, or I don't want to sound like some dude that is just like, extremely, I don't know, stuck up or something. But when you sit with these artists, there's one thing that I feel that the conversations are only business oriented right now, to be honest. Like this is, I'm talking
money,
from a perspective, I'm talking from a perspective like from the ground is what I think, like what I would want to tell you from like the grounds of this music. If you go to these conversations, and if you are in the middle of these conversations, you find out that we talk about music a lot. People talk about music a lot less now. It has become, the conversations
more
have turned
business,
into, yeah, the conversations have turned into, okay, who's doing better now, who's making more, who's doing that, and who's doing this. And
views and numbers,
yeah, views and numbers and labels and money and all of these conversations are coming up. So it's like a double-edged thing, where it's like, okay, I feel good when people are like appreciating like really taking you seriously now, because it's like a thing now you can be, so they will take
true?
you seriously now. But now there's also I don't like the fact that all we talk about is like business, because I don't like these conversations at all, to be honest with you.
so
These conversations are like a little weird. To be just talking about it is weird to me. If you're talking
that
about like if
absolutely
it
makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, if you're just talking about, if you're in a room full of rappers and you've just discussed 10 other rappers and their streams and their views and their label deals and their money, then I think we're not in the right space right now, to be honest with you. So artists, I think, like the artist ideology is a little weird, but I like the audience ideology. The audience ideology is good. I like where the flourishing of the scene has taken the audience, but I am not sure about like where it's taking the artists. But
I
yeah,
think
it's
right
just what
now,
it is.
Got it.
because of social media, like artists are struggling with algorithm versus artistry. Like, do you make stuff that goes with the algorithm, or do you make stuff that you want to make? So
Yeah,
have you struggled with that?
I have never in my life made something that with the thought process of this will work or this won't work. I have never in my life done that, and I hope that I have never have to. But we never know. But I've never made music thinking about this works and that works and this works and that works. I think that's what sells me the most. I think my I think the way I stand out, the way I don't get influenced, the way I don't get um, like sideline, like kind of like stray away from what I want to do based on what others are doing. That's what makes I think like makes my music stand out a bit, because it's really to what I want to do, and not what an algorithm wants me to do, or not what a trend wants me to do, or something like that. I've never done it yet, but I'm not saying this with a with a higher ground or something कि मैंने कभी किया नहीं, I'm bigger and better than all of this. I don't want to say all of that, but I have never done it yet, and I don't know if I might have to at some point in life. To be real with you, like I might have to, but I haven't done it yet. Now I don't know how people do it, and उनका कैसा आइडियोलॉजी है इस बात पे, बट मतलब मेरे को नहीं लगता कि मेरा मन भी नहीं करेगा शायद, और मेरा मन नहीं
See,
करेगा
you
तो मेरे को
want to
नहीं लगता
stay
कि
true to yourself, basically.
yeah,
Be true
exactly.
to
And the
what you
thing
are
is,
feeling right now.
yeah, and the thing is, we keep saying artist versus ideal, like algorithm, and artist versus algorithm. I really do believe that there's like a balance that you can strike, where it's like you've made a great song which is true to yourself, and that can work, like do a lot of numbers as well. And I think that's what I am will like what I want to do. Like that's my vision, to be like, okay, make a song that hits, and it has like a lot of listeners. It is like easy to listen to. It is like great to listen to your ears, but it also is me being true to myself, and saying what I want to say. I think that's what I'm trying to do
Yeah. So
personally.
I had, after this answer you gave this question, Manan was the one who introduced me to Bubblecars. And he told me it was your first project ever. And in your
Yeah, yeah.
first project, you're talking about suicide, death, like emotions that hold the maximum value, and they're fragile, vulnerable emotions. They make you very vulnerable. So how come, like, your first album, your first project, and in that much depth, what, like, why that, why did you choose that for your first project, is what
um, I mean, it wasn't a conscious decision. It wasn't a conscious decision that I want to, you know, make like an album about. I didn't have that plan set. I want to make an album about like mental health and suicide or something like that. It just came out of me because that's just what was happening in my life. I mean, it wasn't a fictional story or like a fictional movie that I wrote based on someone else's life or something like that. It was truly what I was going through. That's why I also, it wasn't a project that I wrote in like a week or a month or like 2 months or something like that. I lived every part of it, and I wrote as I lived. Like when you listen to the songs, matlab, everything that I wrote, I was there at that certain point, and then it came together. I didn't write down a story, and then I wasn't like, this is going to be the first part, this is going to be the second part. It literally came out of me in a way where it was like bigger than music for me. I wasn't really looking at it as a musical piece also. I really just wanted my thoughts to come out. I just really wanted to express myself. और वो टाइम पे ऐसा था कि टाइम ऐसा था मेरा, मतलब my mindset really was that, and it happened. Whatever happened. And I didn't know what else. I didn't know what else to write. I didn't even look at it as music. I didn't look at it as rap. I didn't look at it as anything. I didn't have any. I wasn't using my skills or anything. It was really not me using my
You were just
skills.
trying
It
to
was
put
just,
out your thoughts.
yeah, it was just me flowing with the skills that I had already had, but I didn't put any well, I was like, no, I need to make this punchline, I need to make this bar, I need to make this reference here, I need to make. None of that was in my head ever. I was just flowing. It was a lot of flowing, it was a lot of expressing, and it took time, and that's what I did with that. It wasn't a conscious decision at all, and that's just how it's going to be for the rest of my life, I think so. I mean, I've never made a conscious decision about making like, okay, I mean, like, I kind of like conceptualize around what I'm living. You get what I'm saying? Like, my
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
even when I made like Salim,
everyone.
even when I made, yeah, even when I made Really Brown, Really Rare, and when I made Salim, those thoughts were like, I didn't, I didn't, I didn't manufacture those thoughts in my head. Those thoughts came when I made Salim. It was the frustration that I had with like, whatever was going on with me, and like, everything that I spoke about. It was like, my frustration at that point in life. That was the main centerpiece of my life at that point. And I try to build a concept around that. I don't write a storyline and then like come up with it. I need to see what the centerpiece of my life is right now. What am I thinking about the most? What am I experiencing the most? And then use my ideas to like thread it together. I would say that's why it sounds like okay, matlab, like he really thought about it. He really like put together like every line of a story and then came together with. But it's never been that. It's what I think about it generally in life, and then I just thread it together in a way that it sounds like it's directed and it's filmed and something like that. That's
Oh,
what
so
happened
you
with me.
make around it basically what is going on in your
Yeah,
life
yeah,
right
yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah. If anything, that's what I think about the most is the centerpiece of my life, in my opinion, and that's what my if I'm thinking about this at some point, that's gonna be the music that comes out at that point, basically.
And I know that like the name Bubble Cars came from the GTA cheat code from San
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Andreas, but like I couldn't fully grasp what was the reason behind naming the album Bubble
yeah, yeah.
Cars.
This is not really like I've never like I mean, like I might have spoken about it, but like the exact reasoning, I don't think I've mentioned it much. So Bubblecars, the cheat code. So what happened is when I was writing this album, and I it was about like these dark times that I was going through, but there was like the song Bubblecars is a bit empowering. Like the song Bubblecars is a bit empowering
Definitely, definitely.
because I in my head. So what happens is sometimes, when you go through these mental struggles, when you go through these mental struggles, especially if you do suffer with some kind of a mental illness that's real, like a diagnosed illness or something like that, there are these phases where you're just like, you just sit down, you're just like, okay, you're depressed, and then sometimes you're just like, no, fuck this, man. Matlab, fuck this shit. I am,
Definitely, I can relate to
yeah,
that. I
yeah. You're
get where
just
you're
like, no,
coming
fuck,
from.
no, fuck this shit. Matlab, like, you kind of have these manic episodes where you're just like, no, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that, and then there's like this self conflict all the time, all the time, all the time. You kind of like beat yourself up, but then you're also like in the middle, you're just like, no, fuck this shit. I am the shit or something like that. That happened when I wrote the song Bubble Cars.
Bubble Cars.
I was just so. Like just so comfortable with this mental state that I had, just so comfortable that I was like, this is me. I kind of like looked at it as like, I need to like I need to kind of turn it into like an advantage at this point. That's why I said you can't kill what's dead, because I'm dead already. That's what I try to say, like when I say मुर्दे को ना मार सकता कोई, आज उसका मतलब है कि तू मेरा क्या उखाड़ सकता है, तू मैं
कि मैं
I'm
पहले से
done.
अंदर से मर चुका
हाँ,
हूँ.
I'm done. Yeah, I'm done. So what are you gonna do about it? तो मतलब बात वो है कि if I'm done, you can't do shit to me. That was the whole point of that album, and that was the whole point of that song. That's why I wanted to come there. Now the thing is, when I thought about all of this, it was, I don't know why. I'll be honest with you, it was like a really, really, really like this drunk night that I had with my producer, the guy that produced this album. This is a very interesting story, to be honest. I don't know how it all came like full circle and all of that. I had this idea, I had these thoughts in my head where it's like I need to turn this into my superpower. And one time we were just like drinking, and this guy is like a very eccentric person. This producer, if you sit with him, you will flip out because of the things he just randomly says.
Well,
His name is Anand,
if I can ask
and
you, who's the guy who produced Bubble Cards?
Anand naam hai uska. There's a song called Anand's Interlude.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
He
yeah,
did
yeah.
like it's the
Okay,
guy that's talking is the guy that
He
produced
gives
the
like
whole.
cryptic hints and stuff in
Anand
that
Iyer, I guess,
interlude.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
His
Anand Iyer. Yeah, yeah, Anand Iyer. Yeah,
I was trying to understand what he's trying to say, but I couldn't. I'll be
yeah, yeah,
honest,
yeah.
I
I
couldn't
can.
100% understand what.
Even neither did I. Neither did I. To be honest, my album, I don't understand it completely myself. I'll be honest. But yeah, so we were just like, one day we were just like, while we were making this album, one day we were just like, sitting, and we were just like getting drunk and stuff like that. And he just like sat down beside me, and he's just like, I don't know why he did this shit. He always used to tell me that you need to visualize what you want to write. You need to visualize what you want to write. You need to become more than a rapper. You need to become more than a rapper. He used to keep telling me. So he used to always, think like, make me think, like, just random things he used to ask me to think, and I just used to think. And so he just like sat me down beside him, and he's just like, look at that car outside. And I just looked at and there was just like a car, and he's just like, now imagine that it's flying. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, just imagine that it's flying. Now build a movie around it in your head. And I was just like looking at it, and I was just like, okay, cool. And then I was just like, imagining things around it, where it was like, okay, what would I imagine this car to do, when it's flying and all of that. Now all of this tied into my head, where I'm like, okay, here's the deal in my head. Now here's how here's how I connected all of this down. Okay, I was like, okay, you can't kill who is dead. You can't kill who is dead. And if I'm dead right now, something hit me. So I'm hit. You can't kill me, which is like empowering. So, something that
So you
hit
will
me kind
fly.
of empowered me. Yeah, exactly. Something that hit me kind of empowered me. You get what I'm saying? Like, like getting hit
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
maybe like
Definitely, definitely.
getting hit maybe was like the best thing that happened to me. So, it's almost like, okay, I got hit and then I've started flying because of that, because I'm just so free
So
right now because
basically, you're
you
trying
hit
to say
me.
you are who you are because you went through that to get here.
Exactly, exactly. And I'm trying to look at it in a way where it's like, okay, now I'm hit, and because I'm hit, I'm so free that for me, freedom is flying. I look at flying as the most freeing thing possible. I want to fly. I've always wanted to fly. I still will want to fly, like, without anything around me. And that's like freedom in my head. Like, flying is the like peak freedom for me in this, like, physical realm. So I think if I'm hit and I'm flying right now, this is great for me. I mean, like, this is empowering for me. And when he said that flying cars, the only thing that I could think about is GTA. So I was just like, maybe I should just, like, use a cheat code for it. And
Bubble cars.
that's when I had the line cheat code bubble cars. That's how I built like the entire idea. That's how it came across.
That now that I think about it
Makes
makes a
sense.
lot of sense.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah. That's why there's a song called Free after Bubble Cars. There's like a
Yeah,
yeah,
there's like that's exactly how it like ties down. Like, I've been hit and now it's gonna be like
you're
freedom for me
finally
because I'm
free.
flying. Yeah, exactly. That's how it is.
like when you for the first time your album, this one, the one you took out today, Slightly Better Days, was one you did not really go into the concept of it. Before this, all your albums, Salim, Really Brown, Really Rare, as well as Bubble Cars, they've all been concept albums, right? So how did you, but because not many people in India are doing that, so what really inspired you to have a concept album? Because uh, a concept album, I feel, is for someone who is really into the art, because
Yeah, yeah,
it's to understand it. So
yeah, yeah,
what
yeah,
drove
yeah.
you, what drives you to make all your projects like that? That's my
I think I'm also like in general, I'm like a huge, like an overthinker of sorts. Like I think about stuff like a lot, and like I'm sure a lot of people do, but I also do that. And like, I take things like how, I'll go as deep as I can when it comes to things. And to be honest, it's just like fun for me, like to make something like, that ties up together. It's almost like, it's like making like a little puzzle that we solve, like a little, like a Lego thing that we used to make as kids or whatever, like that. It's
Uh-huh.
almost like, it's just so much fun to, yeah, it's just so much fun to, like, look at, oh, we've just like built a house now because everything is in place. We built a house because everything is in place. That's how I look at it. And because it's just so fun to, it's just really fun for me to, like, look at like a thing that I've made and just look at it and be like, oh fuck, I made that. So I think it just like it all comes naturally because I just look at it as like a really fun activity to do, like, like build a whole story around it. That's what gives the music way more depth, right? I mean, there's like a you put a stamp on it when you make something like that. You put a stamp on someone's head when you make something like that. You can't forget all of this.
Yeah,
Whoever has
you
heard it,
can never
yeah,
forget
yeah, yeah.
something like that.
Who's heard this shit will never forget it. Never
yeah.
ever
And
forget.
the
Like,
way it impacts you, like for example, the first time I heard Salim, the song Deeware, I was like, man, this is the most relatable shit I've ever heard. Like surrounding yourself with people who you don't even like, just so
yeah,
that
yeah,
you
yeah,
don't feel lonely inside. मैं
yeah,
जब वो
yeah.
सुना, मेरे को क्या यार, इस बंदे ने जो बात बोल दी, मैं कभी उसको एक्सप्रेस नहीं कर पाया इस वे में, बट लाइक दिस इज, आई विल नेवर फॉरगेट दैट सॉन्ग इज व्हाट आई
वो
मीन.
यही हो जाता है, मतलब जो सुनते हैं, मतलब वही बात है कि जो सुनते हैं, जो समझ जाते हैं उनको, मतलब वो लोग कभी भूल ही नहीं सकते वो गाने, क्योंकि मेरे को भी, मतलब मैं कल भी बात कर रहा था अपनी एक दोस्त से कि मतलब हम लोग बस ऐसे ही बैठ के बात कर रहे थे, क्या लगता है, मैं उसको वही बोल रहा था कि मेरे को लगता है दीवारे इज लाइक माय फेवरेट सॉन्ग दैट आई हैव एवर डन बिकॉज ऑफ how much it ties in. Like it's like a house on its own. Like that whole song just ties up so well together, and it just came out of me like आउट ऑफ नोवेयर. सो मेरे को ऐसे ही लगता है कि ऐसी चीजें जब बनती है तब तब कुछ अलग लेवल का इम्पैक्ट हो जाता है. मतलब मैं शायद मतलब मैं बंद कर दूंगा अगर म्यूजिक करना. मेरे को देखो इस मतलब लाइक इन दिस कंट्री इट्स वेरी पॉसिबल फॉर पीपल टू जस्ट लाइक क्विट मेकिंग म्यूजिक बिकॉज देयर इज जस्ट नो वे इट्स वर्किंग आउट, यू नो. ऐसा बहुत कुछ हो सकता है लोगों के साथ, यू नेवर नो. ऐसा भी कुछ हो सकता है कि I'm just not making music the next year. I'm not making music in the next 2 years or whatever it is. I'm done with this or whatever. But this impact that I've created, it's like forever. So it's like, you know, it's like just living like for like one, like, you know, I'm living today and what I do today might like, you know, last forever. I don't know what's gonna happen like, you know,
Eternally.
tomorrow or day after tomorrow.
Like,
Exactly.
one thing I really believe in is ki you only die when you are forgotten. So even if you die tomorrow, the impact that you've
Yeah,
made on people and left with your music, that will carry on forever, especially because of the internet. Now everything is eternally stored on the
exactly.
internet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
So even from 100 years from now, somebody might be listening to your music and like
yeah,
still learning from your experiences and going through
exactly.
something.
So like
Exactly. So
all
it's
these
it's really like
projects,
that.
so
Hold on,
all
hold
these
on.
projects you've put out, this is your fourth project, and in all of them you've had many features. But like, so would you tell us about the artists you feature with? Are these artists you get to know, or are these your friends? More about that.
The artists that the artists that I feature are I really need to like, you know, like them on a personal level. I've never looked at a feature as like a business transaction or something like that, like a deal where it's like, you know, I need to check how many people listen to you and I need to check how many people like, you know, are checking you out and how hot you are with like, you know, in the game or whatever. I've never looked at it like that, but I need to all the artists that I've collaborated with, they are all like, you know, like all like, you know, one of ones, like, you know, you'll never ever find anyone like them ever ever again in any part of the world is what I think. The artists that I have featured on my songs, and that's what I connect to. I mean, I am inspired by these people. It's just like not I'm just not just like working with them. I'm inspired by these people to like, you know, do well. And these people happened I'm fortunate enough that I can I get to know these people and I can know these people, and you know, we could work together. I could like, you know, I've always been in a position where, you know, so these features, I'm just like, you know, really fortunate enough to like I can just like get to know them and I can get to like, you know, work with them, where it's like I'm just like a conversation away to like, you know, conversation away from them, where it's like, okay, we can get on a song, and I'm just like fortunate enough to do that. But I really need to like your stuff and really be inspired by you to like, you know, for me to get you on a song or something like that. Maybe that's how I look at it.
So, is there any artist you would from India you or anywhere you would want to really collaborate with? Any artist you would really want to give a shout out to as well, who inspired you?
I think like my dream Indian collaboration right now would be I think would be Prabdeep for me. If I could get like, you
Oh,
know, a song with him, I think that would I think I would love a song with someone like Prabdeep, because I think he also is in a space where it's just so different. He's just like in a different lane altogether, and I
and in
think
a different mood as well. That is
Like
yeah, yeah,
Tabia is like one of a kind album, man. Tabia, I've never
exactly.
heard anything like that.
Exactly, that's what I'm trying to say. Like these are like, you know, the artists that move me in a way where it's like, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, we all make music, but what's up, like, you know, what's different and what's unique, what's like one of one, like, you know, what's your thing? What can you do that others can't, you know, replicate ever, even if they tried? And I think that's like he's one of those guys that can do that. I think he's like he's someone that I would like to collaborate with. But apart from that, I don't know. I don't really like, you know a lot of artists like him. I also say Prabdeep because I think like our sounds could go well together also in some way. So I think like, you know, Prabdeep would be like the artist that I would love to collaborate with.
You seem to be a big movie fan. Like, in even in Really Brown, Really Rare, you feature that quote from Scarface in the first
Yeah,
song,
yeah,
Really
yeah,
Brown, and even Salim is
and
based off of Salim from
Slumdog
Slumdog
Millionaire.
Millionaire.
So,
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
what's the story behind that?
To be honest, the thing is, I I know it look many people think so. I don't really watch a lot of films, but like when I watch something that I really like, I just take a lot from it. Like I take a lot from it where it's like ideas that I can mold into like other things, into like my music. To be honest, like everything I look and everything I watch, every piece of content that I consume, in my head it's like a machine on its own where it gets transferred, and its ideas get transferred in some way or the other into my music, every piece of content. And these are just some movies that I've happened to watch. I'm not really like a huge movie, like like these people that are like really interested in movies. I can't hold my attention for that long these days, to be honest. I can't watch a whole movie these days, to be honest. I just I have to take breaks while I watch a movie. But there was a phase where I used to watch a lot of movies, and fortunately, like these movies like moved me enough to create projects like these. So I think that's how it's been.
So what was the, like, Salim is like a whole storyline going on. Even in the music
Yeah, yeah.
music videos, you're doing a whole storyline. So what was like, how did you choose to go with that?
There was this to be honest, there was this I think like when I was like making like really brown really rare, I think that's when I actually had the idea of Salim as a character, where I was like I was just like looking at how I'm thinking. I was looking at how I was just like observing how I am thinking at this moment, and at this point. And I think that's where I got the idea of, okay, fuck this guy. Like I'm kind of thinking moving this character. This is what I'm saying, right? I have references in my head for everything. When someone does something, I'm always like, oh, this is like that, this is like that, this is like that. So I have references for everything in my head. So when I like, even when I observe myself, I'm just like, oh, I'm acting like this, I'm acting like that, I'm acting like this person, I'm acting like that person. Like, it kind of like move, like I think like that. There are so many characters in my head where I'm like, okay, yeah, this is how I'm moving right now. So I think while making Really Brown Really Rare, the kind of like how I was thinking and how I was moving was like, okay, I think I'm moving like this character that I knew about. So that's where I was like, okay, I need to put that idea out. I need to put that energy out, because it just made sense, because I was moving like that character, and then my life started going around it, moving around it, where it was like, ठीक है, I am going through what I was, writing, and I am going through what I was, talking about in that. So I was like, maybe like, it's a good way to like, relate all of it together and come about. So it was also like a very organic thing that happened, where I was like, just it just came to me like that. A lot of music just comes to me. I don't really like put a lot of conscious effort and thought to like these concepts. That's why these concepts last, and that's why these concepts make sense, because they're very organic and natural. When you force it, it's never gonna work, in my opinion.
So like, I get what you're saying. So in Really Brown Really Rare, you talk about, uh I guess, some sort of racism, and you talk about how people change as you start gaining money and success. So was that from personal experience, or did you observe something in, like, in people that you wrote about?
Really brown, really rare. I think for me, that was when COVID happened. Like 2020 is when the album came out. Like and it was in December 2020, December 2020, 2020, yeah, 2020, and we had been through I think like a year of COVID by then, like from
COVID.
March to December, yeah.
Six
And
eight
I
months.
think yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think Really Brown Really Rare came like from a place of just like watching what's happening on the internet a lot. Like on the internet, I was just like, the title Really Brown Really Rare, it comes to me from a place where it was like, okay, I don't think like we are being looked at and we are being represented how we really are. There is this false image of how we are, and it's either like sugar coated, or it's really like gone to shit. It's always like one of these things. It's always these. It's either these like these
Stereotypes.
yeah, these spiritual yoga promotion, or it's just like these people are just trash or something like that. And it came like Really Brown Really Rare, the idea came to me where I was like, no, I think like we really need to talk about what we really are. and that's where I dug into, like, the culture that we live in. But you never know that I'm talking about the culture we live in. You can feel it, but you would never know that I'm directly, coming to you and telling you that, hey, this is our Indian culture. If I say that, then that's whack. If I come out and say that, hey, today I'm going to tell you a story about the Indian culture, or make rhymes like that, then it's
You
going to
have to
sound
show
trash.
it rather than
Yeah,
just say it.
exactly, yeah. So if I come out and say that, hey, this is a song, it's gonna sound like trash. But if you listen to it really well and if you feel it, you would understand that, Really Brown, the song Really Brown is about how the economic culture of our country works, where it's like, okay, if you're in Bombay, if you're from a certain place, they kind of look at you different. If you're from a certain place, they kind of look at you. Like, there is they look at you different if you're from, like, a place that's far away from the city or something like that. If you listen to like a song like Kaise, you can understand that, how how men are, brought up. If you listen to a song called Hazel, it's like a song
It's
about
a
a
love song.
relationship. But yeah, but you need to understand that, there are things that we're saying, that, there are like generational things that we're
Yeah,
passing down to each
teachings
other.
that
Yeah, exactly. So we are like, like, because we saw because the Indian culture, I don't think Indians have have, I don't know about y'all, but I don't think like Indians have like great uh, couple role models. I mean, like, not a lot of people have
definitely,
seen,
bro.
yeah, not a lot of people have seen these happy marriages at home, and that's what I am talking about in Hazel, where it's like, yeah, it sounds like a love song, but if you think about it, it's so culturally infused. Like, our culture is so infused in that love story as well. It's a brown love story, where it's like, okay, we are conscious about the fact that, our parents didn't have the best marriages, but we need to, like, get better with that. That's how Really Brown, Really Rare came about, where it's like, okay, I need to, like, show our culture really into our lives, like, not just like, a TV show or something like that. It was just like out of also like frustration, like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Like, when I was like just watching all of these things, like, on international media and all of that, I was just like, what are you guys talking about? We are not this. Whatever you guys are trying to be, because a lot of Indians claim representation. A lot of
No, no, I
Indians,
get
when
that. I
they
get that.
they claim representation, where it's like, okay, we are India, this is it. But no, we are India, because
But
we
India
are
is
we are,
so big and so many
exactly,
different cultures
exactly,
coexist in India. It can't,
exactly.
you, one person cannot represent the whole of India.
Exactly. Yeah. But we know so many people who are like, like that, they take that place where it's like, okay, we are like, representatives of India or something like that in this global media. But most of these people, like, don't even live here, because they weren't raised here, they weren't born here, they weren't, taken, they didn't live this lifestyle. So that was where I was coming from, where it was like, okay, you do your thing. I mean, I'm not, against any brown person or whatever it is. You do your thing wherever you're doing, but there needs to be like a clear, real picture of it also. So I think that's where the entire EP came from for me in my head.
So you were saying that when you were making Really Brown, Really Rare, that's when you came up with the name Salim. So how
Yeah, yeah,
long?
yeah.
Yeah. So how long do you take to like make your albums, and how do you really work on them? Because if you're saying you started, so basically you completed your Salim album and then you named it just later. That's it. Or do you
Uh,
just completing?
the name Salim, I had Salim, like, before we started the album, like before we started the EP. But like, to be honest with you, so I started like putting music out in 2019. August of 2019 is when I put out Bubblecars. And what happened is, yeah, we like, I did that album and all of that, and according to plan, I started putting new music out by December, January, February. Now, what has happened with me, at least, is that so it's 2019, 2020, and 2021 and 2022. We've almost ended it. What has happened with me is that when that album came out and I'm putting out new music, we were hit with COVID, which affected me a lot, actually. Like, that whole year was like pretty, like, tragic for me, because I mean, like, a lot of things, because we couldn't go out, and a lot of things depended on us going out. Uh, because of that, I wasn't really making any music. Now, the thing is, that happened in 2020, and that's why, the album Really Brown, Really Rare came like more than a year after my previous work.
Bubble cars.
Yeah, and with Salim, after Really Brown, Really Rare with Salim, we were done with Salim. I think I put out Really Brown, Really Rare in December. I think we were done with Salim by like uh, I think by June, July or something, it was all recorded, everything was done. But then my I don't know if you guys know this, but like my mom was diagnosed like with cancer like in 2021, and
Oh,
yeah, so that halted my everything basically because obviously you can't really like work around that, and so that's why that halted, and that's why it took even more because it just stopped, the work stopped, and we couldn't do anything about it, and that's why
I
it,
hope
it
she's
got
doing better
even.
now.
Yeah, she's fine now, she's free of cancer now,
That's
God's
great.
grace. But
Congratulations.
yeah, yeah, thank you. But yeah, so that halted the work in a different way only. So that took till December to come out because I had to like deal with a lot of things, and then my mom was still like we still had that, like I think this year is when like everything got sorted out with my mom. So I think after March, I think in
Slightly
March is
better.
when like yeah, so that's when then after that it's been like now I'm making, this is the first time I'm making music without any fucking tragedy in life. You get what I'm saying?
Slightly better days.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Slightly
yeah,
better
for
days.
real, for
Makes
real. This
sense.
is because 2019 is an album that I'm making about like how bad I'm doing mentally, and 2020 that COVID happens, and then 2021 this happens. I don't know what the fuck is happening, but it's just like this is the first time that I'm doing it with just like doing just music, like not dealing with some shit right now. So it depends on what like my like the time that I've taken to make the album is not the time that I've taken to make the album. It's the time that I'm dealing with life around the album is what happens usually. So the albums get done like pretty like for me at least, like I am a little fast with it. It does get done, but it's just like been a little unfortunate for the last 2 years. I hope that like in the future, like I could like push out more music where it's like a little faster, a little like more consistently, I would say. So yeah, I mean albums do take time, but mine have taken extra time because of all of this, but it doesn't usually take this long. I'm usually done with the work. It's just like other shit that I have to like deal with here and there. ऐसा सब scene होता
So
समझ
yeah,
गया.
you mentioned future. That's what I was gonna ask. So after slightly better days, what are you planning now? Are you already working on an album, or are
Yeah,
you?
yeah. I'm working on this like a three-track thing with this producer called Natik. He's from Delhi, and he produced Kaise and he produced Hazel on my Really Brown, Really
Really
Rare
brown, really
thing.
rare.
Yeah, yeah. So this three-piece thing is we're gonna turn it into like a very short EP kind of a thing, and we are planning on. I mean, like half the work is done, half the work is left, and he's in Delhi, so probably gonna go to Delhi and make the EP there, and planning on releasing it just as soon as possible. I really want to put out something more like this before the year ends. So just planning on releasing that as
Is
soon as
this
I
also
can.
going to be like around a concept or maybe just singles that go together?
This is not a this is not like this is like a middle ground between the two, because these songs do go it's like a little story that you'll find out. It's like a little story, but it's not very, it's not, you don't need to like know a lot of things to understand like what's happening. But it's fun songs that I like, and I think we'll get done with it. Hopefully we get done with it soon. So let's see. I can maybe put it out this year.
So how do you go about like producing your albums? Do you find how do you find producers, or how do you like do you
Yeah,
produce your some of your own songs also?
I don't I see I've what my usual process is that I have this guy that engineers all my stuff. His name is Varun, and right now he lives in Gurgaon, but he used to live in Bombay. What we have usually done is that I find producers here and there, and then we like I take the song, and we usually restructure it to ourselves. Like the engineer and I, we sit together and we restructure the songs to our, like how we want to do it, and then we work on the song like alag se also, like using these sounds is what has happened a few times. But to be honest, I find beats and producers just randomly anywhere, dude. I mean, I still use YouTube beats too. I mean, I love YouTube beats. I love how easy it is and how wonderful it is to use them because they sound so different sometimes. And I still do that. And there are these producers that are always like, that are always around. And if you just talk to them, they'll always like, send you stuff that you can always work on. So it's like a lot of random findings also that, hey, this sounds really good. This sounds really good. And, like putting that together, like, is how I go about it. I don't have like a set producer because if I have a set producer that gives me a set sound, which I don't want, I always want to
You
like,
want to keep
surprise.
evolving
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. I want to keep
experimenting.
surprising. Yeah, because Slightly Better Days doesn't sound like anything I've made, and
Yeah.
that's how it's gonna be. Like,
Definitely.
That's what we
yeah,
were
It's
yeah,
discussing today
much
after
more
we heard it.
melodic.
It's completely different to what we've heard in the previous three albums.
exactly,
The
exactly,
moment we
exactly, and that's how I always want to keep it. Once you know what the artist is gonna do, I lose interest because if you know what I'm gonna do, I don't want to do it. It's just like not interesting enough for me to do it. So it's always gonna be like, okay, who's the next producer that I'm gonna work with? Because I worked with Vedang, and Vedang, I always try to match up with the style of the producer and not the other way around. I always want to add to the music that the producer is making, like according to me. So with Vedang, that's his style, and I was like, I want to work with your style, and we should come together on it. Now with Natik, it's gonna be like his style plus mine, but his style is gonna take the center stage where it's like I'm around it, and I'm gonna be the instrument to your beats in a way. That's how I do it with every musical piece that I want to work with. It's gonna be like I'm gonna be an instrument to your arrangement. So that's why I switch styles all the time. That's how it works for me.
So like now there are a lot of artists who wanna come into the hip hop scene a lot, and especially seeing Hustle, all the shows, everything, and hip hop has taken a big turn. Especially I would say after COVID, there are
Yeah,
there's been a massive increase in the number of viewers for the hip hop artists as well, and there are way more artists. First, there might be a
yeah, yeah,
handful of them. Now, there are so many of them. So, and
yeah, yeah.
there are many more people aspiring to be artists. So, what is something you would like to tell them? Like, would you
I'd say
advise?
that I would tell if anyone like wants to be an artist, and if like someone is like trying to be an artist, I would uh, I would just like advise them to just like just always like try to have fun, like with whatever you do, like with whatever music you make. I believe that if everyone really does what interests them, they're always going to make good music. If they really have fun with it, they're always going to make good music. There is no formula to like a good song, because sometimes it's just like the most basic thing that a person could do, and it just hits in a certain way where it's like you can't stop listening to it because that's fun for that person. And sometimes it's like the most sophisticated musical piece hits you.
True,
So it's
true.
always just I would just suggest an artist, whoever is starting, to just like if you like this art form, if you like rap music and all of that, uh don't like forget to have fun with it. If you're not having fun with it, just stop before you before you move ahead. Like try to have fun with it. If you're not having fun with it right now, wait. There is no, कोई जल्दी नहीं है, मतलब कोई कहीं नहीं जा रहा है, कोई कोई टाइम, मतलब म्यूजिक का कोई टाइम नहीं होता. You can put out an album in 2050 and you could be like 20 right now. You could put out an album 20 years later, 30 years later, whatever it is, and you could still like be what you want to be. There is no time for music, but just like have fun with it. If it's not fun, don't do it. And if you figure a way around it, there is like we're all kind of clueless. We're all kind of clueless about like hip hop in India because it's just so new. And
Yeah,
yeah, and we're all clueless because everyone, like from the outside, I know it looks like a lot of people have their shit figured out, but we're all clueless as
yeah,
fuck. And
Like right now also,
yeah,
like there are many artists in the underground scene who are maybe who are like putting out good quality music, but maybe that is not exactly translating to views and money, which so how do these artists like sustain themselves financially?
because
I
everyone's
would,
videos as well. Every
yeah, yeah,
artist, every album, they are taking out videos because without that they aren't working. So how do they
yeah, yeah,
sustain?
yeah. Man, I think a lot of people like stop because they can't sustain, or they can't, like, have this thought कि मैं पैसे कहाँ से कमाने वाला हूँ. I tell every person that I know, I tell every rapper that I know, get a job. All of them. I tell all of them to like get a job. Uh, because I know it like sounds like, oh fuck, मैं क्या job, मेरे को नहीं करना job, या मेरे को म्यूजिक करना है, मेरे को जॉब नहीं करना है. बट अगर देखो म्यूजिक करना है तो देखो शायद करना ही पड़ेगा, क्योंकि देर इज नो अदर वे. आई मीन, यू कांट जस्ट लाइक हाथ में हाथ रख के बैठ नहीं सकता कि मतलब आई डोंट हैव द प्रिविलेज, आई डोंट हैव दिस टू डू दैट, आई डोंट हैव दैट टू डू दैट. I think you can figure out a way to get a job and like do music. 24 hours is a long time if you think about it. It is really hard, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to say that हाँ ठीक है मतलब आसानी से हो जाएगा. It's a tough thing to do, to have like a job and make music. It is probably the toughest, like tough, like very tough mentally, to be honest, to do all of that. But if you really want to do it, it is what you would need to do, to be honest, because when you don't have money you become powerless in a lot of ways, where you just like you can't move, without money you just can't move in this, can't do anything about it. You'll have these ideas that you want to put out, but you can't do shit about it. It's always great to have like it's always great to have like money that you can invest in yourself, money that you don't have to take from someone, because now you don't owe anyone anything like that. So I think things like though I always suggest people to like get a job that's a little part time. Don't be ashamed of doing anything. I mean, you have to do whatever you have to do to get this dream working. Get a job that is like part time, or get a job that you don't have to like that's kind of like dumb a little bit. You don't have to use your brains a lot. You just have to like be there, and you get money for it or something like that. Do something like that. Do something that's you can do at home, from home, or try to manage that. And yeah, invest all of that in your music, man, and try to like do what you can. Try to do what you can. No one should be like looked down on. No one should be looked down on in this business or in
Definitely.
this game, because this is why I don't ever like look at some artist that is not putting music out, like what the fuck are you doing, because I know that it's usually things like these only that's happening, where it's like I cannot make money to put music out, I cannot do something like that to put music out. It's usually these things. uh do what you can, and if it works out it will work out. If it has to work out it will work out. If you have that, it usually does. And do what you can, get what job you can, try to save whatever you can. If you can't afford the best studio, try to do it in a studio that's cheaper. Do it in a make a video that's lower quality than the quality that you think is the best, or whatever it is. Do with what you can. And that's about it. You can't just stop because you don't have the money. That's what I think. It's just like you have to be really patient with it, and there will come a time. There might come a time where you might be able to like be at a position where it's gonna be all good, because you might make money from your music, and do all of those things. So yeah, I mean, yeah, just like don't stop because of it. Take time. Maybe you won't be able to make music for a year because of what the conditions were, because I couldn't. I genuinely, like, for the last year or so, year or 2 years actually, I couldn't make music because it just wasn't possible. But I didn't want to quit. I didn't want to be like, okay, I'm done, because I was just like, okay, this year will pass, whatever it is, whatever happens does pass. So it will pass, whatever it is, it will pass. And take your time with it and do what you can with it. Just don't, if you really want to do it, don't give up on it. If you don't want to do it, if you're thinking about giving up on it, maybe you don't want to do it that bad. So if you really want to do it that bad, don't give up on it. Give it time, don't give up on it. That's what I think.
I read that like you've started this independent artist platform called Montage.
Yeah, I
With
did that. I did start that, but it kind of like I mean, like we couldn't do much with it again, because it was in 2020 that we started. We did 2 gigs, and then COVID hit, and the person that I was doing with had to relocate, and we couldn't work on it together. But yeah, we did start that. We did
oh,
like
so
2 gigs
it's
with it.
so is it, have you shut it down or
Yeah,
something?
yeah, it's not. Yeah, I don't think we're ever gonna be able to work on anything with montage. But Maybe like it'll come back in another form through me and with someone like someone else or something like that. Maybe I don't know. But right now it's not really in my focus.
So, where do you like see DHH going in the future? Like maybe in the next 5 to 10 years, what is your like? How are you uh envisioning it?
I think uh, I think DHH. I think a lot of there are like two to three things that are gonna happen. There's gonna be a set of people that are which is already happening. There are a set of people who are gonna take the real commercial route, like the real commercial route that is where labels will tell you what to write, labels will tell what to sing. I know that a bunch of people will are gonna take that route and are already on
Do you
route.
feel it's already sorry to interrupt you, but do you feel it's already happening?
I know who it's happening with. I won't like I don't want to mention it, but like I know it's happening and who it's happening with.
Okay.
It is it's done. It's done. Like we all know these people, and it's already been happening,
Yeah.
and
Like
a
we do
lot of
have
money is on.
the names, some names,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
are heard and said by the media, by the news. That's everywhere. But the way you're saying it, that after 5 years, a lot of artists will be mainly about that. Is it happening at such a big scale right now? Because every
The
day
thing,
we hear new music, right? DHH.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. The thing is, it happens with someone, and then word goes around, and then everyone thinks that, oh, I can do that too. Let me just do that as well. It always happens like, okay, there is this XYZ artist that did this, and then that worked out for him, and then they got onto this label. So he made those kind of songs. So a lot of artists are just like, okay, let me just, make that kind of a song as well. So a lot of artists are जो हो रहा है वो देख के करते हैं, जो हो रहा है वो करते, जो हो रहा है वो करते हैं, ऐसा भी सीन करते हैं बहुत लोग. तो मेरे को पता है कि ऐसा होगा ही कि करने ही वाले word always goes around. And if you know them in like if you know the insides, you would know who's done what, who's actually done what. Like looking at this other person, this happened because of that happened, you would know if you're inside. तो वो होने ही वाला है, and I know that a lot of people are going to take that route. And I mean, or like go ahead with it. I don't have any feelings against it. People have to do what they have to do to feed whatever and whoever they want to feed and have to feed. So a lot of artists are going to take that route where it's going to be this commercial mass selling raps and
views,
mass
yeah.
selling mass appealing raps. And I also think that a lot of artists that are gonna take it in like a real sense, like true to themselves, like artistically and everything. But I think they are gonna make like make it like make a fan base, make things happen for them, and come up with things that they can do to feed their own family and feed themselves. So I think like it's gonna go like in both these directions. And also a lot of like we're seeing a lot of commercial companies also like getting into hip hop and taking
Yeah.
their
True.
Yeah, yeah,
A
definitely.
lot.
yeah, yeah. So there a lot of like now we've got like big like a Stan and Bigg Boss, and things like
Yeah,
that are also happening. That's insane. So things like that are also happening. So I think like DHH is gonna turn into like is gonna move it is gonna move the culture in a lot of way, like Indian culture in general. I think it is gonna move Indian
yeah,
culture
definitely. Like
in a
the
huge
wider
way.
pop culture of India and the content coming out from India, I think it'll be really inspired from DHH and by DHH.
Exactly. So many young people of our age that never heard of hip hop are now listening to hip hop because of artists that have come from our localities and our places. So we are going to DHH is going to impact culture as a whole in India. I think so.
This move of stands like to Big Boss. Genuinely, it's a big move, for DHH. I
Yeah, yeah,
would say
of course. Yeah,
personally,
yeah,
it's a
huge,
very
huge,
very big
huge.
move. Not only for Stan, but collectively for Indian hip hop. It's one of the biggest things that an artist has done, I would say, because
Yeah,
it
yeah,
is
yeah.
really what Indian hip hop into the eye. Ever since it's come, everywhere hip hop has been on.
Yeah. I think so too. It's insane and it's a great. I think I like it. I mean, I
Yeah.
like what is happening there. It's fun. It's entertaining, and I like where it is going. You know, and I like and I think he's the guy for it. You know, I think he's the guy for
He
it to
Yeah,
is the
do that.
perfect
Stan.
guy. He's the guy for hip hop,
Stan.
man. I love
Yeah,
Stan.
yeah, yeah, he's I so do I, so do I. So he's the guy for it, and I think it's great. So it's just gonna be like a lot of cultural impact, I think, with DHH, and I think every artist has to like kind of choose his path now. There are multiple
Definitely.
now, you know. So choose your path and whatever like you want to do, like whatever you can sleep with in the night, do that.
So I was going to ask you, like, you were talking about art, right? So, what are some of your favorite artistic projects from DHH, which you feel like are keeping that
Hmm.
sense of art?
I think, bro, to be honest with you, I don't, I don't really like, I mean, I do listen to like, projects that come out of India, but I haven't dug deep enough because I kind of like try to uh, like I'm a little, I don't know how to say this. Matlab, sometimes what happens is when you listen to a lot of music, you kind of get influenced in a way that you don't
Yeah.
want to get influenced in, So I don't listen to like a lot of Indian hip hop, but I know a lot. I know a lot, but there's a lot that I don't know as well. But from what I know, I think Prabdeep's discography is like really true to what he does.
Definitely.
I think I would I would keep him there. I think he's like number one for me. And see, I don't have an I don't have another name. It's I like a lot of artists from Delhi actually. I like See Them Earth as well. They've also like stuck to what they do and kept it real like all the time.
Like, for me too,
And
like, Nayaab is one of my favorite projects that come out of DHH. Like,
yeah,
keeping
he's
that
great.
level of art and
The
also songs that
versatility.
versatility,
Album
yes.
defines versatility in DHH, I guess.
Yeah. So I think so I think CD Mode is also like up there for me. Um, I would also I think I think I would also like there's this rapper called TNS from Bombay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's with Azadi Record. Yeah,
Azadi
Bobby is
Records, yeah.
yeah. So I love him as well. He's from Bombay and I like his music a lot. He also like keeps it like how it is and he's like true to himself. So I think like these are some I know I might have missed out a lot of artists, but these are like from the
The
like
ones
off the top of
you
my head. Yeah, off the top of my head that I can like vouch for and I think are like
creating an
great
impact.
and I look up to all these people. Yeah, I look up to all these people. They're great and they're great at what they do.
Well, perfect, man. It was great talking to you. And anything you
Thank
Yeah,
you
it
would
was
so
want to
much,
say
amazing
brother.
to
having you for our first episode
us?
of this
Thank you so
podcast.
much. Thank you so
Man, and
much, guys. It was
anything you
great
would
talking to
like
you
to
as
say?
well.
We were
No,
also
it's
doing
okay,
this
it's
for the
okay.
first time, so I hope it was
No, it was
okay.
great. It was great. I think it was great. I think I had a lot of fun, and I hope you guys do these a lot. And great. Actually, it was a great conversation, and I think you guys have the right idea of what you guys want to do. So keep doing this, and I hope like you get like a lot more artists for the next segment or whatever it is. So I'll be waiting for that, and whoever's listening should also wait for the. I mean, whatever you guys do with this, it's great.
Yeah,
Thank you, man.
thank you so much for coming, bro. Thank you so much.
Yeah, bro.